Hi there. Okay, my name is Emily. I'm going to be demonstrating some stuttering modification therapy techniques today. First one I'm going to be going over is tallying. And tallying is pretty much what the client does after a moment of stuttering to document that a moment of stuttering happened. And there are four parts that we want to look for within tallying. The first is maintaining eye contact during the conversation, and this can be done in a conversation or through a reading. And I'll be doing it through a reading later since I'm by myself. Another important thing to do is maintain the eye contact during the moment of stuttering. And then after the moment of stuttering occurs, it's important to then document that moment of stuttering occurred so the client's aware that it happened. And then after that, then you would resume the conversation, maintaining that eye contact. Why do we do this? So we do this in order for the client to become aware of their disfluencies, and we also want them to be able to document what kind of stuttering they exhibited, whether it was part word repetition or a prolongation, something like that. So it's all part of like the identification realm where we want them to be able to understand that they just had a moment of stuttering, to be aware of that. So I'm going to demonstrate this through the reading of the Rainbow Passage. I'm going to take the first sentence here. When the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act like a prism and form a rainbow. So as you can hear, I had 3 moments of stuttering, kind of did a little bit of repetition and then some blocking, along with some prolongation. So I had all 3 of those in there. So you want the client to be able to document that there was a moment of stuttering on each of those words, like what I just demonstrated. And that's pretty much the modification therapy with tallying. Okay, so we're going to continue with the phases of the stuttering modification therapy, and our next one we're looking at here is freezing. So freezing is technically under the desensitization. So you're looking at core behaviors that the client may be exhibiting, like with the repetitions. It could be repetitions, prolongations, or blocks. So pretty much what the clinician would do is when the client is talking and they experience a moment of stuttering, the client or the clinician then holds their hand up. It could be their finger, but I like using the fist example, which instructs the client to then hold that moment of stuttering. So if they're blocking on a word or if they're repeating a word, then they're going to keep repeating it or keep blocking it until the clinician then instructs them to release it by then releasing their hand to release that, release into the rest of the word. So the goal of this is to kind of become, I guess, sort of less emotional, less upset with your moment of stuttering, and to kind of give some control behind it. And knowing that your stuttering doesn't control you, you can control it by practicing this kind of technique. So I'm going to demonstrate it now again through the reading of the Rainbow Passage, and then I'll hold my hand up to demonstrate it since it's just me. The rainbow is a division of white light into many beautiful colors. So as you can see, when I started to experience a moment of stuttering, I held my fist up to then maintain and stay in that moment of stuttering. And then by releasing it, I then tell the client to release and come out of that moment of stuttering. And that is freezing. The thing I'm going to be talking about is something called easy relaxed approach with smooth movements, or also called ERASM. So ERASM, overall, you want the client to feel control when they stutter, to kind of give them the control, so the stuttering is not controlling them. So overall, you want them to have a slower rate of speech with smooth transitions from word to word. And something documented in the manual that was given to us that I liked is that control is the key to successful communication. And that's kind of overall what ERASM is encompassing. So there are 4 components that I'm seeing to ERASM. that kind of go into it as a whole. The first part of it is easy onset, and that's pretty much you want the client to sort of take their time when they initiate speech. Then you want them to utilize something called light contacts, and I think of this as kind of like delicate articulation. So you're not attacking each of the words, you're kind of going into it easily with a relaxed, just kind of using relaxed and light articulation. And then there's controlled phrasing. We kind of already do this when we read or when we're talking, maybe not so much when we're talking, but controlled phrasing is pretty much wanting to take the words in chunks. So you're not just rushing through all of it at once. You're kind of just taking the chunks of the words and putting it together that way, to making it more manageable for the client. And then the last part is the slowed rate, but also it's important to call it the control rate of speech. You don't want the client to be talking slow just to be talking slow. You want them to have a slowed rate of speech with control behind it. So they're going to slow the rate of speech to then gain the control, and then you want to emphasize the importance of learning how to manage your speech overall with that component. So I'm going to demonstrate ERASM through the reading again of the Rainbow Passage, and then I will stop at the end and talk about each of the components I utilized. When a man looks for something beyond his reach, his friends say he is looking for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Throughout the centuries, men have explained the rainbow in various ways. So as you can hear, I was trying to utilize all four of the components, but one of them that really sticks out to me was the controlled phrasing. I didn't realize how much in my reading I kind of already chunked things that way to kind of make it easier, so the sentence doesn't look as intimidating. You're kind of taking it in those smaller chunks that way. And then I also utilized the slowed and controlled rate of speech, kind of being very aware of the words I was saying and just trying to take it in a slow, controlled way. Something else I did was a light contact. I didn't attack any of the words I was saying. I was trying to breathe, have sort of a relaxed mindset, relaxed body, and also just have that light articulation with each of those words. And then I was also utilizing the easy onset. So I was sort of taking my time to initiate speech, trying not to rush through it, just kind of easing into the words as I'm going along. And that is ERASM. Okay, so the next stuttering modification technique I'll be talking about is cancellations. So cancellations happen. It's when someone stutters, then they stop, they pause for a few moments, and then they say the word again. And with saying the word again, they say it more slowly, they have the light articulation, and then blend the sounds together slowly and easily to go into the rest of their word. So I'll demonstrate this again through the reading of the Rainbow Passage. And this is pretty much done as a modification technique to, again, sort of help the client have some control over their stuttering, to be able to modify how they're stuttering, to be able to stutter more easily in a different way. Okay, so there is from the pause. According to legend, a boiling pot of gold at one end. People look, but no one ever finds it. So as you can see, when I began to stutter on a word, I kind of just took a moment and then used my soft articulation and kind of, so I sort of slowed down my speech and also said it more softly as I went into the word again. And I also kind of reduced my loudness. And that is cancellations. Okay, so the last component I'll be talking about today for stuttering modification therapy is the concept of easy stuttering, or also called fluent stuttering. This is something that the client can use to manage their stuttering during either a moment of stuttering or the anticipation of the stuttering moment. And then it's also used so the client can be more open about their stuttering, kind of be aware, just sort of be aware of their speech. So there's a lot of components to easy stuttering, like pullouts, prolongations, like contact, which have kind of been talked about earlier, but the one I'm going to be targeting today right now is the concept of pullouts for easy stuttering. So pullouts are typically used during a block in the moment of stuttering, and then that in order to terminate that block, you use light contact, which was talked about before, which is that concept of just that light articulation kind of going smoothly into the word, because in a block you're not able to get the word out. So we're trying to use that light contact, that kind of gentle articulation to then ease into the word you want to say. So I'm going to be demonstrating pullouts again through the reading of the Rainbow Passage. Some have accepted it as a miracle without physical explanation. So I was kind of using some of those components of ERASM, which was talked about before, but I blocked on two words here in this sentence, and I was trying to use that light contact to come out of that. So I was trying to release some of the tension and just kind of ease smoothly into the rest of that word. So it's kind of using a component talked about already to kind of help with things that we already know that will help sort of increase the client's fluency. So that is one example of something you can do to help with the modification of stuttering, using easy stuttering or more fluent stuttering, if you will.